evening. Today is Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Is there a motion to call the meeting to order?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Please be reminded that this meeting will be audio and video recorded. Please rise to the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item of business in your packet is an abatement. The above two reference parcels were assessed fiscal 2026 Phase 2 sewer betterment installments. These parcels were erroneously assessed betterments in August 2007, and efforts are being made to remove these assessments currently. This error has been remedied in this manner since fiscal 2019. I'm requesting written consent to abate the fiscal 2026 apportioned sewer Phase 2 principal. Is there a motion to abate?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to abate these sewer betterments as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next item, gentlemen, on the agenda, it's regarding South Main Street. Couple data points, and just want to get some Mass DOT's looking for some direction from the board. But as you know, the discussion regarding South Main Street and safety and for safety improvements and aesthetic improvements has been going on for quite some time. And we've got two new points of interest, I think, for the board. One is that, Mr. Hinckley, I know Kevin, but Bob most notably has been a real stickler for infrastructure improvements when he was a candidate, and as a selectman, pushing the agenda of that if we're going to do anything with South Main Street is to ensure that we're able to at least look at sewer and water infrastructure upgrades there. Mass DOT has agreed to that, and they would fold that into the scope of the project. However, the town would be on the hook for cost of materials. The other data point, and thanks to Mr. Gasper's work on the soil board, has negotiated a I guess we call it a historic agreement with PJ Keating, which I think puts us in a position to potentially work with Keating. Where in the past they were viewed as an adversary, but with the host community agreement, I think they're more of a business partner than not. And I think one thing we did learn that during that whole back and forth is truck traffic on that road is a huge issue, and there's we put in that host agreement language that we would explore opening up Route 240 and to see if they can provide some relief there. So I think all of this stuff is interconnected, and being at 10%, I would hate to just say no, that we don't want to continue to explore this, and then ultimately get it to a point where as a town we can make an informed decision. But I do think since we last talked about this, these 2 points of information, MassDOT's commitment to do the infrastructure, provided that we pay for the materials, and the work that Mr. Gasper did, I think puts us in a much better position to look at this project moving forward. So, gentlemen, that's the state of play. MassDOT is looking for a letter from us to say that, yes, we would like to continue engaging in that process and that we are interested in the infrastructure portion of it. So, up to you guys.
Mr. Chairman, I'll go as far as saying that I was dead set against it if they didn't even entertain the idea of doing the majority of the labor, which is pretty extensive, the amount of ledge on South Main Street. It would have set the town back quite heavily if they weren't willing to participate. So, in good faith, I'm okay with continuing the design concept. I still think we have a lot of homework to do in regards to cost.
Totally.
Measurements of water pipes, sewer pipes, putting together the plan, because if we're gonna run any pipes whatsoever, we gotta integrate stub pipes for all the side streets and stuff like that. So, we're still, we're in, 10% design concept right now, so we do have time. So as long as we stay on and get, accurate prices to know what we have to petition the town for, I can't say, I'm 100% on anything until I see some numbers, but the fact that they're entertaining it makes me feel a lot better than it did originally when this project started, so.
Sure, that's fair. Mr. Gasper?
I agree. I'm fine with it.
All right, so is there a motion to send Mass DOT a letter to continue the conversation and to inform them that we're interested in the infrastructure part of the program, project?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries, thank you. And just again, put it in perspective, we're at 10% design. This process started in earnest probably like 3 years ago. So if you're looking at 10% every 3 years, you know, we'll, I think Bob's kids.
Just in time for retirement.
Yeah, just in time for retirement. So anyway, this isn't something that's imminent, but it's worth moving, you know, at least carrying on the conversation. All right, next item, gentlemen. I was contacted by a solar developer as the chair. The development is up by Clem's Way, and they're interested in talking to us about a pilot. I asked, you know, where they were in the process, and it looks like they're pretty much done with the process. And it's gone through their, you know, we're pretty much ready to roll. So I know in the past few months, we've talked about at least looking at a pilot and what that would look like for the town from a generating a flat line revenue over a period of time. And so if you're up for it, gentlemen, we're more than happy to put this gentleman on the agenda and he can come forward. But I think ultimately, town council would have to negotiate something, and you know, if you're open to it, we can listen to the presentation, but ultimately assign it to town council and the finance team to look at and come back with, you know, what the details are. But I didn't want to make that decision on behalf of the board without talking to you guys.
Mr. Chairman, you know, we had, was it last town meeting, authorized pilots for solar.
Mhm.
I think just having any other option is a good thing. You know, as you know, solar field's a depreciating asset, so if we can stabilize it and still end up with the same amount of money and we have a way to focus on it, I'm always open for new ways to come up with an even fixed amount that we'd be recouping every year.
That's all it comes down to.
All right. With that said, we'll invite Zachary Farks is his name, from Rewild Renewables. So Margaret will bring him in either on the 3rd or the 17th. All right,
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I asked that the staff have an opportunity to contact them,
Yeah, please.
find out who their legal counsel is, and then have them talk to KP
Yeah.
and take, probably it'd be the 17th would be the
Perfect.
better.
Do as much discovery as possible, and then when it's ready for our, you know, for a conversation, then we'll do that. All right?
Yep.
Very good. 134 Nice Lane, we've got a petition from the home buyer, Benjamin Reese from Fairhaven, is in has a bona fide offer for 134 Nice Lane. I'm writing to formally request the removal of Chapter 61B recreational land tax classifications for the property located at 134 Nice Lane, and to request that the property be reclassified under its appropriate residential tax designation. Although, because there's a bona fide offer, this person can in fact make that request. And if the deal falls through, it would just revert back to its, you know, I don't know, the board has any interest in this?
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Normally, we let Concom and the assessors send us a letter out of the game. Ultimately, it's the Board of Selectmen's decision, but I don't know if we want to hold off a couple weeks.
Yeah, as a
P&S
courtesy.
just went through.
Yep.
So it gives time for the board to look at it. I am familiar with the property, but I'd be reluctant to speak on it at this point.
Sure. Is there a motion to send it off to Concom and the
Assessors.
assessors?
Concom assesses and planning as well. don't
There's
they
fire
usually?
law plans involved.
Whoever the appropriate
Yeah.
Yeah.
The appropriate bodies who need to review this, give them an opportunity to take a look at it, come back with a recommendation, and then we'll look at this at an upcoming meeting.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next item, Select Energy. I thought, was Aldo gonna be here? I thought he was gonna be here.
Mr.
right?
Chairman, I spoke with Aldo today.
Okay.
After speaking with Rick Holland from KB Law. He had a couple of notes that he wanted to share with the board.
Okay.
We haven't been able to narrow down a time, but Jamie and I are trying to set up a time where we can speak with him on Thursday.
Okay.
So I had asked Aldo, I said, because we can't officially sign anything on Tuesday, don't worry about showing up.
So we'll just,
But I can, what I did tell him is because I'm still trying to help him move this forward, and it's some small notes that town council has, I was gonna make a motion to approve and sign pending final legal team review and comment. And then this way, if legal doesn't have a problem with it, once we speak with them, then we can actually have it printed out and we can discuss who the signatories are and everything like that.
okay. Jasper.
He's the lead man on solar.
That was my motion.
Okay.
Motion
Oh.
was to authorize and sign pending town council approval and comment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And I'll fill you guys in through Jamie
Okay.
once I speak with town council on Thursday.
Great, thank you. All right, next item is golf course clubhouse OPM RFQ. See two representatives from the golf course here, but last week I got an email from David Flynn, chairman of the Golf Management Committee, asking if it was okay to move forward with an RFQ, with the RFQ for the golf clubhouse. And I said, well, you know, obviously I don't have an issue with it, but I want to make sure that the full board has visibility on it. And you know, he then gave me a timeline of if that in February, if we were selecting OPM, March and April, select a designer, May through September, final design and construction, September through October, bid award, October through November, construction begins, and then hopefully sometime in the spring or the summer, we'd have a new clubhouse. But we did get a document that came in yesterday. I just wanted to make sure that the board was okay giving authority to the Golf Management Committee to work with our procurement officer and legal to develop the RFQ, and then we'll have to come back with a finalized approved document. We just got it yesterday, so we haven't had time, but I didn't want it to sit around. And if you guys are good with kicking off that process, then come back to us at our next meeting, which will be on February 3rd. So, and assuming that is approved, your timeline will be fine, you get to move forward. So are you guys okay with?
Yeah, we just need to sit back down with the Golf Management Committee on the design, right?
Yep, we're still, until we,
But other than that, let's get it going.
yep. Is there a motion to move forward with the RFQ process for the
Town
OPM?
council, for town council's review.
Mhm.
I'll
So
make
moved.
that.
All those,
Second.
motion, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, good. So you guys we'll get this moving, we'll final at the next meeting.
Excellent.
Right, thank you for
Mr.
your work.
Kelly, did you have something to say?
I will deal with my concerns during the review.
Okay, fine.
All right, next item, stormwater procedure. I got a call from Jim Souza, our chair, who just had some questions, concerns, I guess, regarding stormwater. We don't technically have a stormwater agent. We're using a consultant. So Jim, I thought, rather than, pardon the expression, death by 1,000 cuts, where you talk to Kevin, you talk to me, you talk to Bob, you talk to Jamie, I figured have you just come in, say what you have to say, and if we can provide a remedy, we can do that, but I get what you're saying. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, right now we don't have a stormwater agent. We got a lot of stormwater coming in very shortly. We've had a few come in that I've taken care of since Mark Minton has left. And just want to see how we keep moving forward without an agent.
Right. So is your concern is that, as the chair, it's resting solely on your shoulders to do this stuff, or?
Well, one of the permits I had to sign, Jamie asked me to sign it. I don't think I should be the one signing the permits. I think the agent of the stormwater should be. Right now, we got a lot coming on, so it's not just paperwork being shuffled. There's research. You gotta send it to peer review it all, and I'm not willing to put the time in doing stormwater.
So we've got it, right? We have the consultant, is it Kevin McHugh? Is that his name?
We said we would use.
Right, so we're using that, right? We're using him? But you
We,
need-
we really haven't been using him, because the thing is like when we have a peer review come up, it's totally up to the applicant for the peer review. So what we do is we give him a few people to use as peer review. They usually get back to us. Then we got to take and get a bid on it, get the proposal, send it back to the applicant, make sure they're okay. So there's a lot going back and forth before that happens. But I mean, if you want us to just take everything and hand it all over to Conoco and let them deal with it, I mean, I guess that's what we're going to have to do.
It makes sense to me. I mean, I think that's what we've decided as the process. Probably not the most time, the most efficient way to do it, but that's sort of where we're at right now, right? I mean, I know, Kevin, you've had a lot more exposure to this than I have.
I
But
think
if we've got a consultant and we just need somebody to be the conduit and get that off, I would suggest the whole board do that rather than putting it on your shoulders if you're concerned about that. But I would rely on the consultant, but Kevin?
I think the concern that Mr. Souza has, other than some paperwork going back and forth, which I think Julie can handle as a Concom agent, passing it back and forth from applicant to peer review, that's really what it comes down to. It's really the signature for the stormwater permit, right?
Okay.
So I could talk to Mr. McHugh. I think outside of that, speaking on this topic in an open session, obviously it's a union involved, so I think it would, lean more towards an executive session, but when we did do the hiring, as you alluded to, we had an agreement on this is the way we would do it for at least the first 6 months of probationary period, and now this has come up, so.
Right. But I think if the issue is who actually puts their signature, and I can see Jim as chair, I get it, there's some exposure to you personally, making that, if it's the full commission, I think that's what we gotta figure out, like who actually has to put their name on the thing.
But, okay.
Yeah.
I think there's a misconception here. Kevin McHugh in this role is not peer reviewing. He is our stormwater engineer. He is employed by the town that we can bill if we have to, but he is not doing a peer review of just a peer review. He is also advising the town. He is the MS4 engineer for the town.
So would he be getting the proposals and everything from the peer review that's using it, or, I mean,
No, the plans come in.
yep,
You people assign it to Mr. McHugh
okay,
for review, for advising you.
okay.
So he's
Then where does it
essentially
go
your
after that,
stormwater
though?
agent.
He's-
So consider him your stormwater agent, is what Jamie's saying.
Is that what you're saying? Okay, so could we just have it exactly how you want us to work it? So, because it is kind of like so we just take that whole packet, when they come in with a stormwater management plan, we send it over to Conoco.
If you need stormwater review.
So I think Mr. Souza's saying something different.
I kind of,
I'm gonna try to read your mind. So basically, all it is an applicant comes in with plans for stormwater. The applicants then, the conservation agent / stormwater agent, would then take that plan for stormwater review and then send it to a peer review engineer or several engineers for a cost to peer review somebody else's stormwater management plan, right? If it comes in, everybody's at $3,000 and they say, I'll take Jimmy Souza Engineering, and they agree on that. They put the $3,000 or $4,000, whatever it is amount that was bid on, in a 53G account that everybody's familiar with. It sits there. That peer review engineer would then take that engineer plans that's working on behalf of the applicant that designed all the stormwater and say, we don't agree with this, we don't agree with that, this calculation's off compared to the 100-year flood plan, da-da-da-da-da. Now you need to send that back to the engineer that originally drew it and see if they can come up between the two engineers an amendable plan to suffice everyone, right? When that's done, it's paperwork being shuffled, so the applicant's dealing with our office, we'll call it Concom office, right? They send that information over, so we're just playing middleman with paperwork is all that comes down to. And then when it all's finalized, somebody, the stormwater agent, would then say, it's finalized, peer review engineer's good with it, the applicant's engineer's good with it, Concom's good with it, they accepted everything on record. Now I can put my signatory on it and say, have a nice day, stormwater permit.
Pretty much it, Kevin. The only thing is, we review the middleman, we're the middleman on it. So when the first engineer takes it and they do it, we send it to our peer review. Our peer review sends it back to us, we take all the notes, we contact that engineer. The engineer to engineer does not talk, we're actually the middleman on that, just to review everything and make sure all the numbers are matching.
You've used the stormwater agent in the past to decide what goes out for peer review, correct?
Jamie, usually everything on stormwater, we send out to peer review, period. We do not say, let's not, because if someone else is willing to pay, we're not gonna be looking at the square footage, how much water, 100-year storm. So anything that comes in with stormwater, it goes out to peer review.
Then you don't need to refer to Kevin McHugh. If there was a question of whether it should go out for peer review or not, and he would be acting in place of a stormwater agent. If you send everything out to peer review, then you don't need to have someone determine whether it goes out to peer review or not.
Okay, so who sends it out is what I'm asking. Who gets the proposals, who gets all that?
The Conservation Commission.
It's not as a commission, that is done before the meetings.
The staff of the Conservation Commission then should send it out.
So can we do this? Because I'm sure Jim, and I'm sure there's gonna be 50 people after Jim serving in that seat, and there's gonna be, you know, can we either through Jamie or town council, or steal it from some other town, just come up with a flow chart on what the heck to do on stormwater, so everybody knows what the procedure is and the policy, to make sure that it's visible, it's on the website.
If everything's going out to peer review, it comes in, it gets logged in, and it goes out to peer review.
Understood,
Right.
but some people are visual learners, some people need to see it.
Correct. The only thing I'm
So,
asking is,
I just
who
wanna make
sets
sure
the
everybody
proposals? Gets the proposals? Who does all that? It's not the commission. We're not gonna sit there on a meeting and say, okay, let's look at the proposal, we're not gonna go hunt the proposals down. I know that for a fact,
So
whether
let's
we're on the
just-
commission or not.
Can we come up with some
Yeah.
rules of the road, so
Yes.
the petitioner knows what's going on, the staff knows what's going on, everybody in the
I think the
process.
staff needs to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Correct, we do.
That's
Staff.
it's staff work.
Yeah, so, I mean, in the past, we've had a stormwater agent, so that just gets taken care of, right?
Well, the stormwater agent, the stormwater is in our department,
Right, right, but what I'm saying is, right, this is kind of like a household where somebody in the household's the one who always does all the bills, and then that person is no longer there, and then people go, all right, how the hell do we pay the bills, right? So let's just come up with a procedure so everybody can understand it for this commission and then for future people. So we'll take care of it for you, Jim. This way you'll know what to
If
do.
you can contact me on Thursday. just to-
Thursday, you be in?
Just to go over exactly what your process is now.
Okay, all right. But I mean, basically, I'm supposed to, as a chairman, I run the meeting and I go for the agenda.
No, I mean, what
Oh,
the
you're
paper
fine as
flow is.
All right, I'll
We'll
give you a
deep
call
dive
Thursday.
on what you think you're doing, what you think you should be doing, and then Jamie will say, this is what you should be doing, and then.
Well, we got 4 more stormwaters that just came in, and we got a couple more coming in.
Yep.
And I'm not doing what I've been doing, so I just wanted
Obviously an
everyone to
issue.
know.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Yes,
may.
sir.
And this isn't us shutting things down, like Mr. Gasper said earlier. This would involve unions to make any personnel changes or anything like that. So we have to come up with a formula, or at least, because we still have to go back and forth and speak to the union to figure out if it's in-house, when it goes out to peer review, or we use a consultant. We don't need to deal with unions in that aspect. So it's not something we can just flip the switch and change tomorrow. We have to do it
Correct.
legally.
But I'm just asking, right?
Yeah.
Why was our agent not responsible for stormwater? Right?
Conservation agent?
Yeah, because that's what our department is, conservation agent /
Like at the time, though,
stormwater agent.
Jim, was we were hired, when we hired the person didn't have that much visibility there, so we wanted at least eventually kind of like.
And this is no insult to the current
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
conservation agent. This is somebody that was very green and didn't have any experience working in this position as it is, and knowing how important stormwater is. Adding a burden to somebody so they have to learn two fields I don't wanna say learn the fields, but actually jump into the fire in the fields at the same time would be, the way we looked at it was that would be setting somebody up for failure. We don't wanna overburden somebody that's getting their feet wet, and we wanna encourage full Concom ability during the probationary period before we start adding tasks and
Yeah.
responsibilities.
As far as a conservation agent, I just want you guys to know that I'm extremely impressed. Her 3.9 GPA is shown right across the board. She, I don't know if you've seen any of the meetings, she's really stepping up. Just so you know, I think it's a very good hire is what we did. And that has nothing to do with stormwater, that's her as the agent is now. Very impressive, very impressive.
Good.
So-
Good to hear.
All right, guys, have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a good night. All right, next item is I put on here municipal fiber optics and
See you
removal of
later,
town
Andy.
wires. At the time, I put this on the agenda because I've been going back and forth with Gary Hathaway from Scuttlebutt to try to get that pole removed. And in turn, I was back and forth with Anthony, our good friend Anthony from Eversource, and in turn, Ellen Cummings. Kept going back and forth, and Verizon actually moved the pole. So that pole at Scuttlebutts, it's been smack dab in the middle of the parking lot, is now gone. But in talking with Nick, we still have the hangup was the fact that they're waiting for us to take off our fiber.
Our fiber.
So but they did it as a favor to us. They took care of it while their technician was out there, whatever. But apparently we still have our stuff along the poles that need to be removed. I've talked to Verizon, I've talked to Eversource about trying to get them to do that for us, but because Verizon is a union shop, it's just not feasible. Nick's apparently gave us a quote on what it would cost to do our own stuff back last June. So I don't know what the board wants to do, but I think based on the Scuttlebutt conversation, if we have our own equipment on the poles, that's probably gonna slow down the process of getting these double poles, getting this stuff removed. So I don't know how we want to approach this.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I've spoke a few different times on these solar and these double poles over the past couple of years, that it should be the responsibility of the solar company that's making Eversource and Verizon change out these poles to the new high voltage poles. It's the cost should be borne by them. I don't think taxpayers should be subsidizing solar companies for this cost. We just put that fiber up 2 years ago. They came in, changed out poles because they're installing solar fields all over the town of Acushnet. That cost should be borne by the solar company and not by taxpayers, subsidized by taxpayers. I've been saying that for a few years now. I'm still on that because it's a lot of costs. It's not just the cost of a contractor coming in, it's cost of police details that are gonna go through the roof. So I think somebody needs to have a conversation with the solar companies and let them pay for it. We already paid to have our fiber installed, and then they came in and built a solar field, and now they're saying, oh, we need new poles. Move your fiber, move all your stuff to accommodate us. That would be the taxpayers subsidizing a solar farm, and I'm not all for that. So I think somebody needs to talk to the solar company and let them pay for it, whoever's responsible for the upgrades of the poles. Eversource knows that, Verizon knows that person. They're getting money from them, why aren't we?
Okay. Well, I mean, that's fine. I'm just bringing this based on what I thought was holding up Scuttlebutts, but it's really, I was most concerned about that.
Yeah, that pole's done.
So that pole's gone, so we can table this. But I don't know, maybe as part of the number that Nick gave us was like 23 grand, which I think comes out of not the taxpayer, but from our IT, from the money we get from Xfinity and all that stuff. But if we want to consider some type of surcharge on the solar farms to deal with poles. We can consider that. I don't know the mechanics of that, but anyway, we can hold this off.
We only have a loop, a fiber loop, goes from Council on
Right.
Aging down here,
Yep.
loops around, down Middle Road, down Leonard, I think it goes, 2 spots, Leonard, Lake Street, one piece they just did go into
Yep.
LNG for repeaters or something like that, and then it comes back up Main Street in a giant loop, so again, it should be a cost borne by the solar company,
Okay.
not by the residents of Acushnet, and that 23 grand is gonna escalate because of police details and the verbiage that's in the contract with the police details versus a town detail or an outside detail.
I think this would be considered a town project though, since it's our stuff, but
Yeah, but not the way they do it.
either way, Jamie, I don't know if you want to get a letter, get with town council, if they've had any experience in other towns, and get some type of letter to the
I'll
solar
call
companies.
Jeff.
You know, I don't know.
It can't hurt to ask.
Okay. All right, next item, town finance update. A couple weeks ago, got an email from chairman of the finance committee. I think they're kicking off their process, is it on the 28th? Is gonna be the first meeting of the finance committee. And I thought prior to doing that, even though we did our State of the Town Finances meeting last December, it would be good to just come back in one last time for the town administrator and Jamie Velasquez to talk about the process and just give us one last look at key departments. So turn it over to Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Chairman, I've attached a memorandum I am planning to send out to all departments. It includes the tentative FinCom schedule that I discussed with Mr. Boucher, Dr. Boucher. As you can see, it jams an awful lot of departments up front into the first 2 meetings, and then it goes into a review of fixed costs, some of the budget busters, and then it goes into a review of public works, public safety, education, and at the end, we look at revenue estimates. Part of that is because the Commonwealth will not have the preliminary local aid figures until the end of January, beginning of February, and there are a number of other issues that are floating out there that could seriously affect the budget. Because I've scheduled it in such a way, suggested the schedule, I'm also instructing the departments that the fiscal year 27 budget shall be a level funded budget. And I've asked the departments to prepare 2 budgets. One will be a bottom line budget of the same bottom line as fiscal year 26. And that any mandated or contractual cost will be leveled out inside the budget, not the bottom line. And then a second budget that will be bottom line FY26 with any increases for mandated costs and a list of those mandated costs. There is no room in the budget, so it will be, as far as the town side, we are looking to level fund. Not level service, level fund.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
So we had a meeting, God, it was before the holidays. I think it was early December, maybe late November. I think Mr. Menard came in for putting out the trash bid. I don't know where we stand with that, but that is of the utmost importance to get a snapshot of whatever that increase is gonna be. I would imagine that that's pretty decent impact to the budgets on the DPW, so it's a grave concern of mine that we need to get that. You know, he said something, we used to just go with CMAS as we're the trash hauling would go to. We can't go out for bid for trash hauling until we know where the trash is gonna get. And now there's a new facility, I think it's in Marion or Mattapoisett that opened up. I think it's part of Waste Management. So now we have a second option, so it would be ideal, the board thought it would be ideal to put that out to bid to see if we can get a better, more competitive bid and drive down costs instead of costs just inflating at the past one is like 4 or 5% a year, because we had a 5-year plan with them. So I think we need to make sure that that RFQ, RFP, whatever we want to call it, gets done, put out. We should receive that back. Hopefully we can put it out ASAP, get that back in 30 to 45 days max, so that we can go out for bid for trash hauling and get that back in another 30 to 45 days max. So as you can see, the calendar, if we start this off in February, we're looking at probably early April at best to get all our numbers in and award.
Right.
So, and that's part of the, I think that's gonna be a big part of budgetary planning, so I just want to bring that back to the board's attention and make sure it's not off the radar and we get our act together and figure out what we're doing with that.
Yeah, it is on our whiteboard, and we should put this on, it'll be on the, let's put it on the agenda for the 3rd, just for a status report, on where we're at with that thing. I guess the question is, do we have a date that's already set for town meeting?
No.
By charter? I know we monkeyed around with it back and forth.
We've been kicking that
So-
until late May, early June
Right,
because
so-
of the state with funding and
Do we want to do that again? Right?
I would not want to set a date until you know where the figures are coming
Okay.
from the state. Because even though the state is a small portion of the budget, 2/3 of the budget is the tax rate, you can figure that out.
State aid is important.
But state aid makes up a great deal, and a great deal of state aid is aid to education, and as you know, education is over 60% of the budget.
Okay. All right.
we did send a letter most recently, Mr. Chairman, to Ms. Healy. I believe it went out to Ms. Healy for trying to get an increase. I think Faven jumped on that
Yes.
ship
Yep.
with us. I don't know
Yep,
if
yep.
anybody else is jumping on that ship to try to push that, but Chapter 78, average increase over the last 5 years, if you average it out, it's only coming in about an additional $85,000-$90,000, which is really peanuts in the whole realm of 8 to 9 million, I think we get. So it's really, it's
0.5% to 1.5%.
it's really nothing compared to the cost of education, the increasing cost of education, right? So hopefully they get that letter and maybe they can step that up to help us out with our education cost. And the same goes for our regional school.
Agreed?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Beyond that, the half-year review of the budget, all accounts were within a plus or minus 10%, which is where we want them to be. The overtime accounts, I've put a couple in front of you. There's no real concern right now, but I'm going to be talking to a couple department heads. But we have plenty of time to rectify any real issues.
Right. I think the one column that's missing here is if you can get compared to last year and the previous year. So like for instance, police, we see it 52% used. But where does that stack up compared to last year at this time? Like some of these departments, are we at the same pace as last year? Or are we ahead of last year's spending, below? I think that'll be helpful.
But the problem is that there are different things that affects year to year at
Right.
different times. So it's really looking at the half year, seeing that a lot of these numbers are only 50 to 60% of what the budget was. So the department heads are managing the budget well.
Right, and that's fine. I think it's always good to see what the trend lines are, where the spikes are in spending, at certain times of the year? Are they closer towards the end of the fiscal year? Is it closer towards the beginning of the year? So I think it's just.
Well, in the past, we've had requests at the end of the fiscal year for a lot of money that we didn't need. But
That's the point.
But you've got DPW snow and ice and everything. This is winter time. We won't know where they're at until after winter.
Right.
And if you see the percentage, the last column that Mr. Kelly put on his form, I mean, you can see there's 3 departments that are a little alarming to me right now on why that occurred.
Right.
So I think that raises the question for, I think, Finance, Mr. Kelly, to talk to those departments and say, how did that occur?
Right.
Right?
That's why.
I mean, we're 60% done with a year, and we're 70%, and some are already 100% expended. That's not a good trend line.
Right.
So-
So the more data we have, and
We
I'd
need
like
to find out why that occurred, what, like you said, where were we, why did that occur? What was the occurrence that drove that line item exponentially, and you basically have no money left in it?
Right.
I think that's what needs to be discussed, and I've always said that these are the kind of things that should be watched on a quarterly basis, right? And have that conversation so that things don't run amok, and everybody gets the picture that we're watching, right? Because I think it's important for everybody at home to know that we're watching.
Yep.
I mean, it's what we do, it's our job, technically, right?
That's why they have.
It's called financial discipline. That's all it's called,
Yeah.
financial discipline.
That's why they have here report.
Yep.
And you don't have money like we used to, as you know, we're at the end of the year, the last 60 days of the calendar year, the first 15 days of the new year. You can do what they call interdepartmental transfers, and when you're running situations like this, it makes that much worse in that last 60 days for interdepartmental transfers, because now you have more people relying on, oh, we can just get that from here later on, we can get that from here later on, but we know that, it's 2 public safety divisions, depends on what happens there, no fault of anybody's. Overtime could just go for 1 personnel on engine on duty, regardless if it's fire, EMS, or it's police, it can spike, your overtime budget dramatically, right? And that's problematic, and we always try to look at it and say, we need to be conscientious of that for our public safety divisions, right? And clearly, it's the most important departments, no offense to anybody else, but let's face it, I think most people at home want to make sure that we have a strong public safety division in town.
Agreed.
So,
All right. Anything else, Jamie?
I've attached from the assessor the solar rate tax report. It's 139,000 and change. And I've the summary report on OPEB, which is going in the right direction. It's decreasing the liability. Part of it is because this board has been very good at making sure that you keep putting money into the OPEB account. And the other part is this board, in its wisdom, changed our investment policy and changed who we invest with, took it away from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and that's helped us too.
Sounds good.
huge. That was a big move.
All right. Anything else? And you'll provide this snapshot when you go meet with the finance committee. I think for that first kickoff meeting, and if you want me there, I'm more than happy to.
No, I think the first committee has to be processed.
No. Yes. All right. Good stuff. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Any questions? Finances? Goes off of it. All right. Next item on the agenda is regarding the town administrator search. I got a communication from one of the members of the search committee wanting to know what was going on with the finalists that they presented to us. And so I want to get a sense from the board. Do you want to bring these finalists in for an interview and get direction on where we want to go with this?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
since the committee referred their finalists to us, there's been some changes in the amount of candidates that have been referred to us. I'm okay with interviews with what we have, but I also think this involves some more discussion in executive session in regards to process and what else we should do involving that process. Seeing as we have it on executive session anyway, I think there's some more discussion we should be having in executive session about this.
Okay. I think that's referring to really is Mr. Kelly, his status. But so are you saying that at least we've got three, I don't know, there's left 3 or 4 people, and we owe them at least an interview regardless of what's going on? I don't know, Mr. Gasper, your thoughts on it, but the communication that I got from the committee member was pretty strong about what the heck's going on, why is there no action, and essentially pointing the fingers at me, and I have no problem bringing these people in for interviews, so that's my public position on it. Is that what we want to do? Or with these finalists? I don't know what to, I don't, people come to me because I'm the chairman about these finalists, so I don't know what to say, other than I have no problem bringing them in, bring them in. Up to you guys. I don't want to make that unilateral decision.
I mean, I'm okay with bringing them in.
Okay.
I would still like to expand upon the discussion anyway.
Okay.
But I do agree that the communication with the candidates should be made. So anybody that's still involved in it and is still interested in the position has the right to be brought in front of us.
You gonna say something? Or no?
It's a tough conversation for me to talk in open session about. I get it, where we're at, but, you know, they screened a boatload of candidates. They came up with 5. The way I see the 5 that I knew about was 2 withdrew, there's 3 left. Don't want to talk ill of anybody. When I look at the 3, I don't know if that's something that this board would entertain. But, I mean, if we're just going through it for the sake of going through it, I don't know if that's the best idea to put people on camera and have that exposure. So I think maybe it warrants that conversation in executive session. Again, we could have that conversation, but I don't know how the full board feels, but I don't know. I look at the town charter and I look at the remaining 3, and no disrespect to any of the remaining 3, I just think that the town has a handful of issues, and when I look at the 3 remaining, I personally don't know if any one of the 3 would be capable of taking on that responsibility. We're not in a flow easy position right now. We have a lot of open vacant positions right now. To put any one of them 3 in there, I don't think we'd be doing any favors for anybody. And I don't know, I just look at it again and I look at the qualifications under the charter, and I just don't know if I could make a decision on what's left in the pool. Right? I've been talking about, for God, I don't know how long I've been talking about advertising, but again, we have several open positions and none of them are being advertised right now. I don't know how we find candidates if we're not advertising for candidates, not just TA, but all the other positions. I mean, the town clerk's got a position. She's been looking for somebody there for several months. A senior clerk, it hasn't been filled. We have a town accountant. We're advertising for a building commissioner, inspector, commissioner. None of it's being advertised. I mean, we can't fill positions if we're not advertising.
I know the town administrator, we were pretty clear that we were gonna keep that posted. I think we got notified in November, and the board said you wanted to keep it open until the end of November to see what came in. I think a couple other resumes trickled in. I know there were 2 candidates who dropped out, but maybe it's because we didn't submit we didn't have an interview scheduled. Maybe you go back to those other 2 candidates and say, look, on this day, we're gonna be doing interviews, at least. And if of those candidates who choose to be part of that process, and if it doesn't work out for them, then we can at least close that process and then reopen a new one. I just feel bad for the people who put themselves out there And maybe, in an interview process, whether we know them or not, something sparks. I don't know. I just think to get that communication that I got, there's obviously some discontent to the people who served on that committee. So to validate their efforts, but we can discuss this further in executive session, but I just assume contact the finalists and bring them in, preferably during the day, and give them the ability to put their best foot forward and see what sticks. And we can go back to the 2 people who recently dropped out and say, okay, we're sorry that we didn't schedule something, but we got caught up with the holidays, and when you're short-staffed and you're just trying to keep things afloat, like you're dealing with the day's crisis, it's hard to be forward-thinking.
Yeah, no, I get it. The holidays definitely screw everything up, trying to
Right, and then we
deal
got
with
one
that stuff.
department that we're trying to piece together, and you've been involved in stuff, and Bob's been involved in stuff, and we've had Jamie V jump in there, and Jamie Kelly's been working remotely, so it's not like we haven't had any coverage. Like we've had, I think, in some respect, all hands on deck. We've had a lot of coverage with all of us, chipping in and our support staff. So again, go back to the finalists. Do we want to bring them all in for interviews, or do you want to hold off on executive and talk more in executive session? I don't know.
I have some stuff I'd like to discuss in executive session before
Okay.
we made any official announcement on
Okay.
this. But I do stand by the fact that we have to have an open line of communication with anybody that's still involved in this process.
Okay, that's fair.
I agree 100% with
All
that.
right, it's fair. TBD. All right, next item is just FYI. As you recall, town meeting revised the bylaw regarding elected officials, and went through the legislature, and the governor signed it, be enacted by the Senate and the House of Representatives in general court. Section 1 of Chapter 3 of the Charter of the Town of Acushnet, which is on file in the Office of the Archivist Commonwealth, is provided in Section 12 of Chapter 43B of the general laws, is hereby amended by striking out subsection 3-1-2. And it says, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to file with the general court a petition for special legislation to amend the town charter to delete section 3-1-2, which section imposes on a former town moderator, town clerk, a member of the Board of Selectmen, school committee, community planning commission, Board of Public Works, assessors, and any other elected board governed by Massachusetts law, to a 2-year waiting period for appointment to any appointed paid town position following the expiration of their respective elected term, and further to authorize the general court to make changes to form only to the bill without the approval of the Board of Selectmen, to authorize the Board of Selectmen to approve such changes. Essentially, the current essentially removes that 2-year cooling off period, and would allow somebody who served in those capacities to work for the town after their term is up. So, with that said, I'm going to take that opportunity to say, despite the rumor mill and stuff that people keep asking me about, this does not pertain to me. So I just want to put that out there. Because I keep getting asked, is this why you're not running again? You want a job in town? No, I do not. So I just want to put that to rest as well. So, nothing against the town. I love the town. Family, work, and the town are my top 3 priorities. But as much as I love the town, I have no interest in working for the town. I choose to be a cheerleader from the sidelines come this spring. So with that said, gentlemen, is there a motion to accept and place on file?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we've got now executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, staffing, reorganization, or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, and the chair so declares, and the board will not return to public session at the conclusion of the executive session. Is there a motion to go into executive session number 1?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, roll call vote. Mr. Gasper?
Yes.
Mr. Hinckley?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Regarding executive session number 2, executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30, A subsection 21A2 to discuss strategy with respect to negotiations with non-union personnel, town administrator. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, and the chair so declares, and the board will not return to public session at the conclusion of the executive sessions. Is there a motion to go into executive session number 2?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Gasper?
Yes.
Roll call vote, Mr. Hinckley?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. We are now going into executive session.